What's up, Matt?
How's it going, man? I'm just happy because I got my channel back.
Yes.
I woke up this morning and I got an email that said, yeah, we were wrong. Your channel actually isn't terminated. So you didn't break terms of service.
Let people know what happened, because that is something that should never happen.
It shouldn't.
But is more common than you might expect.
So I woke up 2 days ago to an email from YouTube that said, you have severely violated terms of service and community guidelines. And the vague description was, you've incited people to do illegal actions or like violate YouTube's terms of service, or you have illegal activity on your channel. I was like, what are they talking about?
Well, once upon a time, that was true.
What? I think
you know exactly what I'm talking about.
That's completely different. And I'm not going to even go there. We're not going to even go there.
We're not going there?
I mean, if you want.
Another time.
Yeah. This on the channel, it's literally education content, right? It's education, entertainment. So maybe they thought that NFTs were, I don't know. I really don't know. But I've seen, so when I looked into it more, other channels like CoinDesk and Andrew Pompliano, Graham Stephan.
Terabytes.
There's a couple other channels that have had their channels terminated randomly without warning for the same reasons or similar reasons. And they all got theirs back within a day or two, which just happened for me, thankfully. But it was weird because I reached out to 4 different people. 2 of them were at Google. 2 of them were specifically at YouTube.
Okay.
And all of them, well, one of them I didn't get an answer from, but all the other ones said, yeah, we can't do anything. You have to appeal it. And then the review team, the policy review team will check it out. Like they weren't able to give me any reason of like why this happened, or did someone report the channel, or was it the algorithm or the bots that kind of flagged it falsely? Like, I have no idea. I have no idea how it happened, why it happened, how to prevent it from happening again. It's just like, you could wake up one morning and then your channel is gone and you have no warning that's coming.
And if you don't win your appeal,
well, that's the other thing. I literally, in the appeal, I was like, I don't even know what I violated. So there's no way I can be like, yeah, I didn't do that because I don't even know what I did.
That's insane.
I was like, I believe this was a mistake because there's nothing illegal on the channel. I haven't broke terms of service. I haven't like paid for subscribers or anything like that. Like I haven't done anything wrong.
Yeah.
And so I don't know why I'm being like, I don't know why it got suspended, you know?
Yeah, I've reached out to Google employees in the past and asked questions about the site or just about things that have happened on my channel. Why has a video been demonetized is like a common one, where I've had videos that I've poured like a month of work into. I've been so invested in that project, and then I upload it and I keep it unlisted so they can do all their reviews and their checks to make sure that there's no issues with the video. It's not breaking any terms of service. It's not going to get demonetized. It's not going to get limited ads, all those sorts of things. And then as soon as it goes live, then it's an issue. Little yellow $ pops up, gets demonetized or limited ads in that case. And I reach out and they can't tell me what's going on. And it's like, surely in that scenario, if it says confirmed by human review, the human should be able to describe what the problem is. But they can't. It's not part of their system.
Their system is just, it's gotten better over the years. I will say that. It has gotten slightly better. They have like a little chat box now that you can actually contact like creator support within your dashboard if you are eligible. Which is somewhat helpful. At least there's someone you can go to, right? Like if you don't know anyone. But it's still like, it's still, you can't get answers. Your whole my whole channel gets deleted. Like that's more or less my career. Overnight, gone like that. I have no one to really reach out to unless I know people that have those contacts or go through their chat thing, and even that's not very helpful most of the time.
And in a situation where your career has been erased overnight, you don't really want to be sitting in like an automated chat room being like, hi,
please help me.
Random person that is not really invested in fixing this problem in any capacity. You're just sort of sitting at a desk, like working on tech support for, I don't know, like my like button isn't working. And then you get hit up by a content creator being like, my channel is gone. Like,
save my career, free my channel.
It's not ideal. And it's something that I actually have been thinking about quite a lot recently in terms of businesses which rely on other businesses to function and require you to be able to put your faith in another platform or service or something. So in this case, we as content creators are putting our faith in YouTube that YouTube is not going to just break at any random time or delete our channel at any random time for some godforsaken reason. That's a lot of faith to be putting in another party.
It is. It's tough. It's like, in an ideal world, I'd love to be able to control my own content, control my own fate. But it's like YouTube is the second biggest search engine in the world, right? So it's there's obvious reasons to be. Well, yeah, I mean, it's like, I guess one of the same, really. But I mean, we've been doing YouTube for 12 years, right?
13, yeah.
Has this ever happened to you?
I've had similar. I've had my channel hacked.
Really?
Which was because, I'm going to struggle to remember the exact details here, but what I recall happening was I was with a network who I was with for just a few months, and like they've been hitting me up recently being like, hey, do you want to come back to the network?
No!
Sorry, guys. I had a bad time with you.
Absolutely not.
I had a bad time. Their CMS, which is the content management system, got hacked. Some fool that was working at their company probably didn't have 2FA on. Their password got phished or whatever it was. Someone got into the system, and it meant that they could control the channels of everyone in the network. And this is hundreds of channels that are big channels. Every single channel within their umbrella was hacked because the CMS was hacked. And so it meant they could delete videos if they wanted to. They could, I don't believe they could terminate channels, but they threatened to. So what they did is they emailed, because they had everyone's email, because our emails are tied to our YouTube channels, which are in the CMS. So they emailed everyone and said, and like I could probably pull the email up if we wanted. They said, we have access to everything. Everything that you would normally have access to if you were a manager on a channel or something, we have access to that right now. We will delete all your videos that you've ever made if you don't send us 1 Bitcoin by in the next 24 hours. I don't remember exactly how much it was, but it was something like that. They said it was blackmail. They were trying to extort us.
What year was this?
Man, this must have been 17, 18, something like that.
Dang, that's crazy. They asked for a Bitcoin.
Yeah, they were asking for crypto.
As opposed to like, $100,000. Well, I guess it makes sense, right? It's a lot easier, a lot harder to track the Bitcoin.
And also a lot of smaller channels that were in the network that might not have been able to front $100,000. If you make it a little bit more accessible, which at the time, if it was like 5K, 10K, something like that, then you're going to, and I don't remember if it was Bitcoin they were asking for or ETH or I guess it wouldn't have been ETH at that time, but whatever it was, there was a request for crypto payment that I remember happening. I didn't send anything. And I think most people didn't send anything. And the outcome was that they then said, we will leave your channel alone, I think, if you just email us and ask us to. It was very weird. I don't know if the long arm of the law got involved and they were like backing up being like, oh, we'll be nice if you just email us. But they said just email through. And so I sent them an email being like, hello, hacker team, whatever their name was. Please leave me alone. Thanks, Milo. And sent that email off and nothing happened to my channel. So
what the heck?
Yeah. It's a weird world out there, man.
First, I mean, there's a lot of things unfold here, but what did they do about that?
I don't think they did anything.
Like, that's a huge, huge liability on their part.
Yeah.
Like, that's bad.
Yeah. It was not great.
Did you leave immediately after that?
I was only with them for 3 months, which in terms of networks,
that's bad luck.
Is no time. They basically hit me up and promised me the world. I was like, well, I kind of want to see what greener pastures might look like, you know?
Yeah.
Just give it a shot. And I very quickly realized I'd been promised the world, but they couldn't deliver on it because at the time it was really important to have a managed channel status. Do you remember that? So the difference for those of you watching, listening, managed versus what was the other word? That it was managed and then it was like partner or affiliate or something other lower status thing where if you were a managed channel, it meant that you were not automatically within the Google CMS that is active on all channels, which means that if you upload copyrighted content, it instantly flags it and the video gets blocked and taken down. If you were managed, you weren't in that pool. You had to be manually struck by someone filing a strike on your channel or putting a claim up against the video. And so everyone wanted to be managed because I, at the time, was making Call of Duty Zombies videos. Activision owns the IP. They own all the content they were putting out. And so if I uploaded a trailer, I knew that Activision were fine with me uploading the trailers, but if I wasn't managed, I would still get hit because they had an automatic thing running for people that were trying to steal their stuff. So everyone wanted to be managed, and at the time it was a really important part of my business. I couldn't offer it. So I was like, well, I'll try you guys out. I'll see if you can establish a relationship with Activision so that if there is a claim that comes up, you sort it like that and then there's no issues. But I remember talking to my Activision contact at the time and he was like, Milo. I got a call at 3 a.m. from guy, this new guy. He was like, who is this guy? Who is he? I was like, he's my partner manager. He's trying to like make sure that
3 a.m.
He was like, Milo, it was the middle of the night. What's going, because also we're LA based and I'm based in London.
Okay.
So there was time difference issues there. They were contacting Activision UK at 3 a.m. to be like, hey, Milo's uploaded a trailer reaction. Can you get out of bed and fix it? It was never going to happen. I was unaware that my contact was going to go to that length to try and solve the problems or do it in that way. So needless to say, I didn't stay with them for very long. And there are some other things that I would like to talk about in that area, but it's an ongoing matter. 4 years later, 5 years later, however long it's been. So yes, we'll save that for a later episode.
Well, dang, I didn't realize there was this much beef here.
Oh, there's beef.
So it sounds like getting a channel terminated is actually not as scary as some other things that could happen on YouTube. I mean, we've both done. I've done a lot of channels, and we've both been on it for, like I said, over 10 years. So the fact that this is the first time anything like this has happened to me is like seems pretty rare.
It's rare, and yet it shouldn't ever happen.
It shouldn't.
There should be no situation where your channel disappears. Can you imagine?
The worst part is that like a week ago, I applied for verification on the channel because I had passed 100,000 subs, and I got it right away. So you would think that they have some process to verify that, you should get a verification badge. And then a week later, they're like, yeah, actually, we were wrong. We're going to terminate the whole thing.
Yeah, 1 week ago, this guy's legit,
This guy's legit. He checks out.
Week later,
you know what? We're actually going to take the whole thing down.
Yeah, it's insane. And another parallel situation that I want to pull us towards here is with content creators having to rely on YouTube not to just mess everything up. We also, as content creators, have to rely on, if we're gaming content creators, the games that we're playing, right? Deviation Games have just emerged from the ashes of Call of Duty Zombies. For those of you that don't know, Deviation Games is basically a new Sony-partnered studio, and a friend of ours, JC Backfire, Jordan, he works there as their sort of social lead. Despite the fact that they haven't got a game yet, he's there building out their social department. He'll be working on influencer relations. He'll be working on all sides of social strategy. Building a community is his thing. And the reason I bring us to this point, as the cat walks into the room, hello, Marley, maybe you'll come onto the camera in a second, is I've been saying to JC, like he's been asking, what do you need as a content creator to be confident enough to make videos on a new game, a new IP, a new thing? And I've been saying, you've got to recognize this is not how it was 10 years ago when I was a school student and I would go home from school and make a video on Call of Duty Zombies purely as a hobby with no financial incentive. I wasn't monetizing my videos. I wasn't in a network at the time. I was just doing it for fun only. And that was the landscape then. But nowadays, it's different. We know now that the media that we generate from making content is incredibly valuable. And also, we do this for work. That's how we put bread on the table. And so a studio cannot just assume that a content creator might make content on something for the hell of it. That's not enough. I think the next sort of wave of studios that are popping up right now, there's a whole bunch of them, they're going to have to recognize that as content creators, we're businesses too, and they need to create an ecosystem and a platform that gives us the confidence to risk our businesses on them, which is not how it has been for years.
Right.
But if they don't do that, I'm going to look at Deviation Games' new game, which I'm hoping they're going to do a little reveal for or some kind of teaser or something around when E3 would be, which would be in June. I'm hoping that they're going to do stuff that is going to give me confidence to be like, well, yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on here, but if I start making content now, and there's an entire year to go of no game. It's only a few trailers, but I'm making content that whole time. You want me to spend a year of my life on something that I don't know if it's going to be fun or good or anything? You've got to reel me in and incentivize it. You've got to do something to pull in content creators and probably pay for that content. It's just the way things are now.
It's interesting you say risk your business on a game. I never really looked at it like that. You know, before I did this channel, I was doing same thing as Milo, gaming content on YouTube. And I've never really considered it to be like, yeah, we are now a business, right? This is your career to some degree for some of us. You have to choose which games or choose which content you choose to make, right? And risking your business, I guess, is like the most extreme example of that. But it's true. Like if you choose to make content on the next Call of Duty, you're pretty much committing to a year of hoping that game provides enough value and enough viewer base to make content on so that your business keeps thriving and growing.
And you can make the best content in the world, but if the game sucks when it comes out, what are you going to do?
It is what it is. You live and die with the game.
You live and die with the game.
I've said that for a long time.
Yeah. And if you live and die with a game and you haven't got any meaningful, tangible way of knowing if the game's going to be any good or what to expect from it, as essentially an investor, you're just investing your time and creative efforts and your business's time and efforts. Hello. As an investor of those things, you need the studios to be providing an environment where you want to invest. And I think the same thing goes in many ways for a lot of players these days with, let's say, for example, Valorant. Valorant's actually a good example. Valorant obviously being a new competitive shooter that came out more recently, but is very, very similar to a Counter-Strike, let's say. It's got a lot of Counter-Strike's themes and core fundamental kind of positions on how the gunplay should be, etc. But it also introduces its new sprinkle of stuff, and it's new, right? With a Valorant, they want a competitive scene. They've got to entice their pros. They've got to say, you're already a CS pro. You've been playing Counter-Strike for 15 years, maybe. But we need to now offer you something that is going to mean you have the confidence to ditch your career and invest your entire business, which is being a professional player, and your image and your brand and everything, invest that into a new ecosystem. And I think Valorant did that quite well. They onboarded a lot of CS people really early on, but interestingly, I have seen some Valorant pros switching back to CS now or leaving the Valorant competitive scene. Some are retiring as well because they've been in the game for a long time, but they're leaving the scene now. Maybe they're going to casting or they're going back to CS, etc. And that's just such an interesting shift in the way things work, where creators 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, were not seen as this asset that you need to constantly try and attract. Whereas now, if the creators are there, you're going to be mega profitable. And if they're not, you're going to struggle. It's just the way things go these days.
Content runs it now. It's more important than ever. I mean, I feel like kind of the theme of this video right now seems to be like, you know, a lot of people do want to be content creators to some degree, whether it's a YouTuber, whether it's a pro gamer that makes content just because they're really good at the game, like whatever it is, there's so many different avenues you can take. And it's true, like gaming specifically, the biggest games are often the ones that people are watching and playing the most on Twitch. Like the consumption of media is the most important factor for sales, it seems like. So it's a good point.
I think also what's interesting, another aspect of how things have changed in the last couple of years with that is that a pro player who previously just needed to be good at the game, like if you're back in the days of StarCraft, let's say, and it's like early esports days and you're a pro, you just need to be good. You don't need to be good at delivering interviews. You don't need to have a big Twitter account. You don't need to have a YouTube channel. You don't need to be big on TikTok. You don't need to be able to do anything else other than beat someone else in the game. That's it. Whereas nowadays, with the insane salaries that players might get paid, the signing bonuses, the other aspects of their contracts, the sponsors that are involved now, etc., you might not be the best player in the world, but you're such a greater asset to the team that you're with if you're more than just your gameplay, which sounds insane for a pro player to be important or to be focusing on those things. And yet it's incredibly important for these teams because a lot of esports teams as well, they're struggling to be profitable. They're not actually, if you're outside the top, let's say 10 teams, there's a very, very strong chance you're not a profitable team. It's insanely difficult unless you're one of the Goliaths. And so if you as a player can contribute all this extra value with the content you create and all that sort of stuff and drive more value for their sponsors and stuff like that, it totally changes the entire dynamic. And it's just another example of creators being this fundamental driving force through all this stuff, where 5 years ago it was like, haha, you make YouTube videos, nerd.
I don't know, 5 years ago, maybe 10 years.
10 years
10
ago.
years ago,
10
definitely.
years ago. Yeah.
For sure. But now it's kind of flipped.
It has.
I feel like a lot of people want to be a YouTuber or want to be an influencer.
Do you think that's going to keep going? Or do you think there's going to be an inflection point where Here's
the thing. If everyone wants to be something, I mean, obviously it becomes harder and more saturated, but I feel like that kind of kills what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like if everyone's trying to be an influencer, and a lot of them do achieve that,
Yep.
I feel like if there's so many of them, generally speaking, influencer, like as a term, will not make as much sense because everyone's doing YouTube and everyone's got 10,000 plus subscribers at this point. You know, like they're still the biggest of the big, but like if everyone's doing it, are you really influencing anyone if you're all doing the same thing? You know?
Yeah.
So I think the space is going to continue to grow for sure, without a doubt. I think even with the COVID and pandemic and stuff, more and more and more people are doing their own thing, like freelancing, creating their own businesses, potentially working from home.
A lot of folks quit their jobs in the pandemic.
Yeah, and I think you see, look at like Tesla, and you're building this robot, right? I don't know if you've seen that or not. They're building this like I don't know what they're calling it, but it's basically a robot that will help you do stuff around the house.
Oh, cool.
And that's the consumer side of it, but I'm sure they're going to use it for like warehouses and like, you know, just automation of things.
Yeah.
Everything's becoming more automated. So those jobs are naturally going to get taken away. And I think what will happen is people will continue to flow into running their own businesses, creating their own brands, that kind of thing, in lieu of some of those other businesses that are being automated and taken away.
Right.
Which makes it necessary for people to learn these skills and kind of branch outside of maybe the normal societal like 9-to-5 job. I think more and more we're going to see people doing stuff like this, like we're doing right now.
And I think TikTok is one of the things that has really accelerated that transition, where before TikTok, yeah, you had these other platforms, YouTube being one of them, Vine being one of them. There have been plenty where people have kind of got a little flavor of what it means to make content. And a lot of people have blown up and found careers doing it, like ourselves. And I think what TikTok's done that's been really interesting is, I always say, it's sort of democratized creating, where anyone can blow up a TikTok account. It's genuinely, I don't want to say it's easy because you have to be savvy, but there's very, very little barrier to entry of just having your phone. There's already a trend established. There's already a viral sound. There's already a template. There's already a meme that works. You can jump into that and just do the thing that everyone else have done all the hard work for, making the song that's viral and et cetera, making the dance that's viral, blah, blah, blah. And you can go viral just on that alone. And it can be an afternoon and you've got 1 million views or 10 million views. And that is a power that YouTube has never been able to provide creators. Never.
I don't think any platform has been able to do that that well.
Yeah.
But on that note, do you think that the weight of a view on TikTok has the same weight as a YouTube or any other platform?
Weight in the sense of monetary value? No.
Not necessarily
categorically no for money.
Well, yes, obviously. I think. Well, maybe not obviously, but yes, I agree with that. But I'm saying not necessarily money, but the just value in general, whether it's opportunity or exposure or ability to grow your brand, whatever it is. I mean, obviously, most of those things boil down to money in the end, right? But
so the way I look at it, TikTok views happen even if you don't want to be watching the content, because you scroll onto the video, you're viewing the video. If you don't like the video, you scroll off, you still viewed the video. So to some extent, the view number is less important. Completions, though, maybe is more equitable to something that you might see on another platform. Because if someone's watched your whole thing and it's 25 seconds, 35 seconds, they've sat there and they have consumed that. And so why would that be any less valuable than something that's 4 minutes of consumption? I don't know if there's necessarily a massive difference there. Yes, it's shorter, but does that mean that you've captured them in any less of a sense? I don't know. I'm not sure that you have. It's just providing a different piece of thing.
Right. I'm curious to know, maybe you know this, what the conversions look like from to my understanding, YouTube's still the best platform when it comes to converting an audience to either selling a product or driving them to another place.
Yes.
Like I can't, like if I see someone on TikTok that's got a million followers and they're getting, I don't know, 100 to 200,000 views a video.
Sure.
On YouTube, that's like a big deal. That's a serious creator.
Yep.
On TikTok, I just feel like that can happen for like a lot of people. Like that's a thing that's possible without, I'm not trying to take anything away from them, but like, I don't think they're following that 1 million, followers and 100 to 200,000 people watching per TikTok are as likely to
purchase a product.
Be influenced, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm saying. Like the whole influencer thing, it's weird because where it's going right now is it's TikTok. Like TikTok is the hottest social media platform, I would say, at the moment.
Right. Yeah.
But I feel like the influencer power for the influencers on TikTok is not as strong as the same size influencers on YouTube.
I think that is true. I think that becomes significantly less true if it's 200,000 completions.
Okay.
If it's 200,000 completions, because if I upload a YouTube short, it has 98% retention. Like it's very, very high. For context here, standard retention on a YouTube video across the entire website, I think the average is something like 30%. It's pretty damn low. Mm-hmm. Mr. Beast is going for 70 plus on everything. He'll be 80 plus on some stuff. Like he's up there, and that is insane. If I ever had a video with 80+% retention across the entire video, across the average view duration of the video, AVD, then I'd be losing my mind. I'd be so happy with 80%. It
would probably
retention.
be doing extremely well.
Yeah, and it would bang. It would go viral 100%. It's guaranteed at that point. If you have that high retention, you're going viral 100%.
With a certain number of views on it, yes. If you got like 10 views.
Yes,
right?
yeah. So, but the thing is as soon as YouTube starts expanding the search pool and recommending that to new people,
probably do well.
That number's going to drop down once it gets to 15 views, unless you've made a video that genuinely
if it stays at 80 and it's still tracking numbers, it's going to go viral.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna go up until it stops being at 80. That's just the way the site recommends
or you're Mr.
stuff.
Beast and it just continues to go until you hit everyone on the platform.
Yes, yeah. But that's because everyone on the platform watches 80% of the video.
He's that
they
good.
They genuinely do. His
He's
click-through rates are insane. He's just that good. Anyway.
You know what his click-through rates are?
Not off the top of my head. I've known in the past, but I can't off the top of my head remember. But it's damn
Are we talking
high.
like 20% or like?
No, I have videos with 20%. Like that's not high.
So like it's way higher than that?
Oh yeah.
Like, and it consistently stays that high when people see it?
I think it probably...
that number's got to tank more.
It probably tanks, but it probably tanks after a while.
We're talking like 50%?
I mean, I've got videos that have sustained at like 25%-ish. Some are like 30
that's
plus.
High. That's higher than what I've seen for almost everything I've ever done.
Yeah, it's not every single video, but I've had pockets of time where I've posted a video and it's been at 30, and then it's drifted down to about 20 and it's coasted at 20. And that was times where I knew I was hitting. This is how I knew I was in a good place with my channel at that time. I knew I was hitting basically the entire pool of people that were interested in that content. The bucket of folks that were interested in Call of Duty Zombies storyline information in X year, I was completely exhausting that pool of viewership, which is a good thing because it means that I've grown to a point where I'm a big fish in that pond.
Right.
But it's also a problem because I want to grow my business. I don't want to stagnate.
Yeah, if you feel like you've hit that point, that is, I would say that's not. I mean, it's congrats on that because that's a massive feat. But at the same time, it's like you've hit your plateauing. Like you cannot go far if that's the truth, right? There's always new people coming into the space, so like generally speaking, it will continue to grow to some degree. But for those of you who may not have a clue what we're talking about,
right.
CTR click-through rate is basically just if 1,000 people get fed a image or like a thumbnail, what percentage of them actually click on it? So we're talking about 20%, which is high. Generally speaking, is pretty high.
Yep.
30%, I think, is really, really high.
That is good.
For context, my channel, generally speaking, gets around 10% to start, 10, 12%.
The YouTube average is about 7% click-through.
Right, and then it usually goes down to like if I see 6 or below, I need to change the thumbnail and the title. Like,
actually, I think that might be not true. I think across YouTube average, I think the number is more like 3 to 4%. I think.
You hit a 3 to 4, I feel like.
I think
bad.
I think what it might be is that across content in the genre that I make content in, I think YouTube gives you that sort of stat, like across your peers and stuff like that. Okay. What the average is, I think it's about 7.5, if I recall correctly. But again,
I feel like 7.5 is pretty. Yeah, that sounds about average to me.
Yeah.
And it definitely depends on the niche you're in, like the genre. I've seen a wide variety in terms of what the click-through rate will be. Like on trending topic videos we did, the click-through rate is way harder to get high because there's, it's way more vague. It appeals to way more people.
Yep.
For this stuff, for the NFT stuff, when the channel was doing really well, between 10 and 14% was about what I was seeing, and then it would slowly taper off over time.
So that was your first 12 hours, 12%?
Yeah, like the first, when I would pop it open, 12% was pretty good. Now I'm finding it much harder to reach, like getting over 10% has been hard. And I don't think the
Interesting.
thumbnails are any worse or the titles are any worse. I think we're in a bit of a slow period
With the market.
But if I see something that's like 6 or lower, then it's usually just a bad thumbnail, a bad title.
Right. Yeah. And it's difficult as a creator. Something I wanted to actually bring up while we were talking to Meg, but I just didn't have a chance to slot it in, is she was saying she has become totally numb to the market in the sense that she'll see prices going up as an artist, right? She'll see prices going up. She'll see prices going down. That doesn't mean her art's getting worse. It just means that the market is just flip-flopping. It's just flowing around as it does, right? And she'll talk about her art in the punks Discord, and some of the punks will buy her art and the price will go up. The floor will go up to 4 ETH or whatever. Things will cool off a little bit. People will liquidate in order to buy Azukis or whatever the hell else, and the floor will drop. It's now around what, 0.4, 0.5, I think she said. Right. So she has become totally comfortable with those fluctuations. And as a creator, we've got to do the same thing. Interestingly, I have to be able to be comfortable in a situation where I'm getting 200,000 views on everything I post, and then I'm still putting just as much effort in and creative energy and juice and all of that stuff that makes a video, all my skills going into it, might only result in 50K the following year. That doesn't mean I'm any worse. That doesn't mean that I have to beat myself up. It just means that the market is flowing in a different direction right now. And that level of sort of stoicism, in a sense, and comfort in yourself and just being able to weather that storm when it happens is really important. And it's difficult as hell. Like, I've struggled with that a lot over the years.
I think it's one of the hardest things about being a YouTuber. I like to call it trusting the process. You just got to keep doing what you know works and what's what you've learned over the years, and know that it's a roller coaster. There's ebb and flow. Like, there's up times, there's down times. In January, I had a video that went over 1 million views, and because of that video, all the other videos were doing really, really well. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm crushing it. The growth rate was ridiculous.
Yep.
Now I'm struggling to get, half the views I was getting on all of those videos at that time. And these videos, some of them I think are like objectively much better videos. That's just how it is. And I think people that are new to YouTube definitely may not know that, and will definitely, it's mentally hard to kind of battle, like, oh, I'm doing even better work, but no one's watching. No one seems to care. Like, they're not doing as well. Like, what am I doing wrong? Sometimes it's not anything that you're doing wrong. It's just the market.
And I think you start YouTube by default in a bear market. By default. Like,
we're relating this all to finance.
Yeah, sadly. But you really do. Like, you start YouTube, you don't know what's going on. Nothing you try is going to really work. You're throwing stuff at the wall. It's crumbling around you. You're trying to, you try a bunch of different projects. You try a bunch of different series. Don't make series on YouTube. It's a bad idea. You might try a bunch of different things. They all flop. And you're like, man, I suck. I should give up. I'm going to liquidate. But what you don't realize is that is the point where you need to...
useless channel.
Yes.
I'm going to sell it for $0.
Yes. Tax harvest your YouTube channel.
Oh, you can't take... I don't think you can take a loss on it other than time.
Yeah.
Or you just buy a bunch of equipment and then expense it and then...
Time and dignity. But you got to recognize that things will pick up at some point, but you have to trust the process. Same thing as you're saying, right? Yep. And it happened to all of us in the beginning of our journeys. I started my YouTube channel in 2009, I believe. And Jesus Christ, that was a long time ago. When I started that YouTube channel, I had a channel previously beforehand that went nowhere. So I was starting a second channel at this point. My channel sucked. My content was awful. I was making intros for people to put at the start of their Modern Warfare 2 montages. In
so
C4D.
Like the little 3D, Cinema 3D ones?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So
that was a thing.
I was doing that. I was making animated intros in After Effects. I was making montages as well. I was posting commentary videos. I was making glitch
This is
guides.
exactly how I started.
Yeah. I mean, we were
because
in
that's
the
what
same
people
era.
were doing at that point.
It was.
That was like a thing that people were doing, and it was doing well to some degree. Like you follow what the trend is.
You did. You have to always. And yet the content did suck. And so both of our channels took some goddamn time to get where they needed to get to. And we took time to develop the skills in order to actually make good content. And nowadays, and let's bring this to the future now, I think we're in a position, without wanting to sound too egotistical, where we really understand, I think, the content game. Is that a fair comment to say?
I would say so.
Yeah. I think you also have a really interesting different perspective on this to me because of your production company. You have a totally evolved idea of content because you've seen the YouTube world and been in depth with that, but then also seen what these more traditional companies might want for their businesses or whatever they might be doing. Do you think that we're going to get to a point where they're one and the same thing?
The gap is closing.
Yeah.
What we do, so Team Playback is a production company that my brother and I started 2.5 years ago, and we quickly realized that there was two sides of the business we wanted to start: a YouTube side of it because that's my expertise, and then more traditional production like music videos, commercials, branded content.
Yeah.
We quickly found that a lot of people needed help with both. Like clients would need help with the shooting and the production and the editing part of it, and the like distribution, marketing, social media part of it. And they really kind of go hand in hand. Like it's just the whole scope of like start to end. How do you make content, right? You shoot it, you edit it, you distribute it, you market it.
Right.
That's basically the 4 pillars, I would say, of putting out content from start to finish. And there's a ton of different things you have to learn within all of those different areas. But we were able to do both. So we started taking on clients where we could just do all of it for them. And then to some degree, we would teach them how to do the YouTube stuff. But yeah, like I think it's moving that direction because typically, like if you have a TV show, right, it's going to be on a network. You have to pitch it. You have to sell it. Now you don't have to do any of that.
Yeah.
If you want to make your own podcast, set up some mics, a camera, and you can do it and publish it. And there's a lot of podcasts out there that are getting infinitely more views than biggest TV shows out right now.
Right.
Right. And I'm talking like network TV shows. And streaming is a little bit different. I'd say streaming is actually much more along the lines of what YouTube or freelance type content is. So like, yeah, like the biggest shows right now, like I have a friend who works on Ellen, and I hear the reports like the numbers are constantly, I mean, obviously there's the whole scandal with Ellen, but the numbers are constantly like going down for network TV, and YouTube continues to grow year over year.
Every year.
Streaming content continues to grow. Like the ability to make your own stuff from day one without having to report to anyone, get hired by anyone, work your way up this ladder. Like I have friends in production they've been in it for years and they're still working their way up, and they're like 2 rungs up the ladder, right? Or 2 steps up the ladder. And I'm over here, like we own our own production company. We work with pretty solid clients in just 2 years. Like we work with some pretty big brands, and no one's stopping us. Like we do whatever we want every day. Like we make our own schedule. We set it up. It's like, you don't have to follow this path that society's kind of set out for you. I think that the game is changing entirely right now. And I think YouTube is a really big part of that when it comes to the content side of things, because it is a massive viewership that you're able to tap into as soon as you want to. There's like really not a lot of barrier to entry as far as getting set up. I would say TikTok is obviously easier.
Sure.
And there's a lot to learn about how to make a channel on YouTube. But if you want to do it, you can do it right now. And I think that's like huge moving forward.
And I think that is going to mean that the generation of kids that are growing up right now who have only ever known TikTok being part of their life are going to have a very, very different perspective. And there's surely at some point going to be a little bit of a kind of content reckoning where all the old farts in TV that are calling the shots right now, making decisions that make things feel like TV, are going to realize they're just doing things people don't want to watch, they're not interested in, they don't care about, because they're making content for themselves instead of what will become the majority of the market that want this new form of media, this more modern form of media that has sort of emerged, like I would say, over the last 5 to 10 years. And it's something that I mean, I've experienced even in making YouTube content, where I'll work with a brand and the brand will very obviously have TV vibes in mind, and they'll want to work in a TV styled fashion. And I'm there like, you do this? Everyone is going to click off the video. We're going to get 1/10 of the views we could get. You have to trust me. I'm a professional running my business that has been successful because I've made the content that way.
Yeah.
And if you come in here and you say, yeah, actually, you need to do XYZ, ABC, 1, 2, 3 things that are very, very TV themed and suck ass. It's not going to work, man. This happens all the time. I get so many briefs from brands. They'll come to me and they'll say, yeah, we're doing this. It needs to be this long. You need to talk about these things. And I'm like, you want me to say? I'll give you an example. I was making a video with a brand that wanted me to talk about their in-game skins that they had. So it was a mobile game and they had skins in the game. They wanted me to specify how many different combinations of skins there were. I was like, who cares? They were like, no, you need to say. So I was like, fine, all right, I'll say it. So I say, yeah, there are 50 million skins combinations in the game.
50 million.
They get back to me, they're like, yeah, actually, we reran the numbers. It's 100 million. Can you re-record? This was in the brief. I read it from the brief. So stuff like that drives me.
We reran the numbers. It's actually 100 million skin combinations.
It drives me insane.
Can you try to get all of them?
Yeah.
Spend your entire life trying to get all of them.
Yeah. So it's stuff like that where it makes me sad that so many brands will not put any faith in the creators. And it actually makes me wonder whether the majority of creators just suck at what they do and they don't provide any value to the brands and they don't give any feedback about these things. So the brands never learn and they think that that's how everyone's going to be. And then as soon as someone that has their brain switched on comes along, the person with their brain switched on is like, how is this the interaction we're happening right now?
You know what though? I feel like this is not by flaw. Think about this, right? If you had someone that's working for a company like that actually was good at doing this stuff, would they really be working for that company?
Yo.
Think about it that way. Like I'm thinking about, because this is the beautiful overlap that I get all the time. It's like people want to hire me to do what I'm really good at for their brand or for their company.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I'm going to do it for myself on my own and make more money and have the freedom to do whatever I actually want to do and not have to be, like I don't have to report to anyone.
Yeah. A cog in a wheel. Yeah.
That's the whole point. Like that's the whole point of this is that you can do it on your own. So why would I ever go to some big corporation that like I would be really good at it there, right? And I would probably knock it out of the park and I'd have huge budgets to go to people like you and be like, yo, we're going to pay you whatever money.
Yeah.
This is how we're going to do it. And you're going to be like, this is great. This is exactly what it should be like. Because I get it. That person doesn't exist because that person's doing your job.
Wow.
That's the way I think about it.
That's interesting as hell.
So what to your point,
yeah,
what is going to happen is at some point, and I don't know if it's going to be like a hard switch, but at some point when our generation, the people that get the new media, start to take over as like our companies, it's not going to be us taking over the big players. Dinosaurs will always be there, right? Yeah. Facebook, Amazon, Apple, like all these big players that have their hands in these kind of things are going to be there no matter what. But the middle level and smaller level companies, I don't think we're going to take over those. They're going to be gone.
Because we're going to make
our companies will overtake those companies. That's what's going to happen.
Hell yeah.